Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Gamer Crafting Podcast. This is the second podcast for this week. In the other one, I talk a little bit about my posts about immigration and such on Instagram earlier this week. I didn't really want to talk about something as serious and frankly upsetting as that, along with lovely squishy yarny things, so I separated it out into two separate podcasts, which is fine because I didn't do one last week. So I also have a new microphone that plugs into my DSLR, so I'm gonna see whether that picks up better audio or my phone sitting next to me here on the table. Also, I legit had to climb up on a ladder and stand on top of the table to get this shot set, so hopefully it's not blurry. If it is, I'm probably not gonna do it again, so. And then in the process, knocked basically everything that was on the table off the table, which is now on the floor, so bit of podcast realness for you. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about some stuff that I have been working on that I haven't really been talking that much about. I want to talk a little bit about some stuff I haven't really been talking too much about, but I have actually been working on, throughout the year. So first up, this is my cup of tea that I had to make myself after recording the other podcast because I got a little bit upset. So basically, this enormous, monstrosity of a blanket is what I'm making with my Nihilist Rainbow Blanket Club this year. So the Blanket Club is new for 2019, and I wanted to kind of make something along with everyone else to kind of show you what happens when you make an enormously huge blanket with over 2 kilos of yarn, almost 2.5 kilos of yarn. So really, really big blanket. I chose chunky for mine because I cannot imagine, legit can't imagine, knitting a whole blanket in 4-ply. Huge kudos to those of you who do. So this is the northeasterly blanket pattern. It's a really simple, calming, methodical knit with kind of a join as you go. I do have a separate strip here. This is separate because I took it when we went to Cornwall back in, February or March. So this is a full-size 2-strip one. I'm actually gonna move this out of the way because I can just foresee myself dumping yarn into it. So this is a 2-strip one that I still have to attach to the other, what strip am I on? So I've got 4 completed ones and I'm working on the 5th one now. So this is what the first 2 months of the yarn club looked like. So this was January and February. And this is a superwash merino. That's what I did for all the blanket clubs, because who wants a blanket that's not at least a little bit hard wearing? So that was months 1 and 2. So that's already it's already pretty hefty. So then I'm working on the 5th strip. Don't worry if you get the blanket club. This is not spoilers. This is from 3 months ago. So this is from July, I think, July or August. This color, so there's no spoilers in this post because I'm that far behind, which, I don't know, worked kind of well for this podcast. So this is what I'm working on, and I've been working on it a bit more. As easy and methodical and calming and lovely as this pattern is, and there's also a crochet version now too, if I remember correctly. I have yarn falling all over the place. I seem to have this happen to me an awful lot, which is I did something that's not part of that. That's a different. So this looks like the blanket's falling apart, but it's not. It's just the slip stitch way that you join them, and it's because I dropped a stitch off the end somewhere and it's laddered down. It's easy enough to fix with a crochet hook. I've fixed 6 or 7 other ones because I don't know what I'm doing. This keeps happening. The simplest pattern ever, and I keep managing to muck it up anyway. Yeah. So yeah, alright, so this keeps happening to me. I can fix it pretty easily with a crochet hook, and I'm going to, but I noticed this last night, and I figured I would at least show you the depths of my ridiculousness that a pattern so simple and methodical I can still manage to muck out. Saying that, I was thinking that when I'm done with the blanket, so when I have all my lovely strips all done and the ends are all woven, I think what I'm gonna go do is these seams, I'm gonna go back and do just like a slip stitch crochet through the seam that's on the back, like through both strips. Because I obviously can't have that much faith in my own ability to make sure that that those joins aren't gonna come apart due to me dropping a stitch somewhere and then like forgetting about it, I guess. I don't know. So I was thinking I might go back with a crochet hook anyway at the end and like just kind of give it a bit more strength, because I'm kind of hard on blankets anyway. You drape yourself in it, you drag it around all winter. So this runs like the whole year, January to December. So 2020 we'll have another blanket club, and this year I swore up and down I'm not gonna have a knitted blanket because it's gonna take me too long, even in chunky, because I'm a slow knitter and it's frustrating and whatever. And so swore up and down that I was gonna crochet it, and then here I am because I found this lovely lush knitted blanket pattern that somebody in my Stitch and Bitch group had, and I just kept looking at it and I was like, oh, I really want it. So I just decided to do that. But there is the crochet version, so maybe I'll do that next year and I'll have two eerily similar looking blanket patterns, or I might choose to do something else. But I thought this was really good for this kind of thing because it's kind of, you can just keep adding on to it. There's no like there's no end point. Like you could just keep adding strips to this forever if you really wanted to. It's really easy. So this is what I've been working on this week, trying to catch up on this. So otherwise it's gonna be me like racing to the finish line in December so I can be like 2 days before blanket clubs close in December. I can be like, look everybody, I did the thing, which will be of help to nobody then. So I figured I would at least show you my progress in this podcast, because I've posted it a couple of times on Instagram, but not very much. And I guess because it feels too self-promotional, it feels too like, buy my stuff, which, you know, I don't know. I'm probably thinking too much about it. Anyway, so this is my blanket, and it's huge already, and I'm working on the 5th strip here. I did this last night, this whole thing last night. So like it knits up pretty quick. That was probably like, I don't know, an hour-ish of focus knitting. I realize it doesn't look like a lot for an hour of focus knitting, but it's because my focus knitting lately is still pretty distracted, if I'm honest. So that's kind of what I've been working on, and I, for one, am heckin' pleased with it. And I'm really excited to keep adding on to it and have like a big, super cozy, ultra squishy, because this chunky is like squidge. So I'm really excited to have like a super ultra ridiculously neon-esque rainbow blanket at the end of the year. I think it's gonna be rad as hell. I'm really excited about it. Well, I kind of lost my enthusiasm for it for a while because it's obviously not a travel project anymore. This isn't something that I can just like toss in a tote bag and take with me to Stitch and Bitch or to the movies, even though it would be really good for that because it is like a very methodical, calm knitting kind of pattern once you get into the rhythm of it. I would have to take like a little wagon with me drag my project along. Also, I've been knitting this on my Knit Pro Zings interchangeable set, which I treated myself to, I don't know, last month, and I had been using, I will show you. So this is the Knit Pro Zings interchangeable set. You can see that I've got a couple of projects on the go, judging by the missing needles. But it comes in a little zippy case. This isn't like a promoted post or anything, I'm just showing you what I bought. This is my 3rd interchangeable set of needles, and it's not necessarily because one is better than the others, it's because I like them for different things. So I have a Haya set as well that I really like for when I'm making socks and other things in foreplay, and lace especially because I have the sharp tips on those. And I also have an Addy Click set that I like for travel because with those, like the little tightening key, there's no tightening key, it's like a spring-loaded patented thing. So with that, I'm less likely to have to like tighten the needles. Anyway, so I had been using these. I'm not usually this organized with my needles, so so I've been using these. These are just plastic because I took a big chunk of this with me when I went to Italy back in May, and I only took plastic needles because I didn't want anyone to get weird about my super sharp Hayas, which I feel like look more weapony than these chunky plastic ones. So these are the Knit Pro Trends needles, And I have to say, so I only wound this cord like this last night, so what I'm about to say, don't be all up in the comments being like, well, of course they're twisted because you started like that. And I was like, well, I mean, that's probably true to an extent. Anyway, so I had been knitting it on this, and I meant to switch over the needles like ages ago, and I don't know, I just like forgot. So I'd been using these Knit Pro Trends, these hot pink ones, these plastic needles. And honestly, these are pretty good for travel because they do look really inoffensive. So if you're worried about your needles getting taken away, like, I don't know, maybe plastic's a way to go. But this cord is like their typical Knit Pro purple cord, but they're like really, they're really kinky. And even like, I know the hot water trick, but like, even with hot water, like they're not as like flexible as I would like necessarily, but that's like the trick when you're always trying to find interchangeable needle sets. It seems like one has one thing perfect, but not another thing, so on and so forth. But in this set, in the Zings interchangeable set, they have a different cord, and it's way more malleable and flexible, and it's probably my favorite cord of all the cords that I use for interchangeable sets. Like, it's legit. I really like it. And also, I've not had any issues with these unscrewing, and I like Zings because they're metal for fast knitting, and they've got a little bit of a point, but I'm not gonna like poke a hole in my skin like I do sometimes with the Hayas, like legit have poked holes in my skin. It's a thing. So these are fine for things that don't require that extra sharp point, you know, like lace or really tight gauge knitting like socks and stuff. So these are my Zings, and I love them. And I especially like the big chunky needles. I don't know, it makes me feel a bit more like a vampire slayer. I have it in my heart, I would love to be able to develop like wooden needles with silver tips and have it be an interchangeable set and call it the Slayer set. And I think it would be so freaking cool, but getting that kind of thing prototyped is mega expensive. So between that and everything else that's going on, I'm like super not in a position to be prototyping random sets of knitting needles and stuff. But like, I don't know, I think that having a Slayer set would be rad as hell. You could be like, am I slaying vampires? Am I slaying werewolves? You don't know. Am I just knitting? Could be all three. So anyway, so that's what I've been working on. It's just a really lovely pattern. I'll post a link to the northeasterly pattern in the comments. It's really nice, and there's also an add-on to the northeasterly that I know I bought at the time that has additions, like there's like a brioche and some other sort of two-color stuff if you're looking to kind of mix up your blanket and not have it all look the same. Because I have a lot of color going on, I didn't really opt to do any of the other ones, even though I bought the extra pack. Maybe next time. So that's that. So that's kind of what I've been working on. I wanted to show you my progress on, let me move this behemoth out of the way without knocking everything over on the table. That's the goal. All right, I know you're looking for something to focus on, just chill out. So I've been working on my Half Moon tee from Dragon Horde Yarns as the designer. I'll post a link in the comments again. So this is a colorwork yoke short sleeve top. I'd really hope to have it done by sort of Halloween-y time, but I don't know, life's just been a little too chaotic. Oh, by the way, this bag is from Amelia X Joy. Isn't it amazing? I bought this like a year ago, I think. And it's got little like death moths, and I also have a bunch of pins on here from Sugar and Sloth and Perth and Kate and Beg, and I don't remember who the Have Hope Leo one is from. I looked at the back as if there's going to be a tag on the back of a pin. I don't remember where that one was from, but I will try to drop a link if I can remember. But that's Sugar and Sloth. Anyway, so this is what I've kind of been working on. I will turn it around so you can see. So as you can see, I'm using Zings for this as well. So this is what I've been working on. And as you can see, it's got like this kind of nice moon, crescent moon thing going on. Here, after this sort of almost piano key looking, that's absolutely not the order of a piano, but you know what I mean, thing, there's a big increase round, and it's like causing a little bit of weird puckering, and I don't know if I've done something weird. My floats in here are not too tight because you can sort of stretch it and stuff. So I don't know whether that's going to block out, because that should be like right along the shoulders. I went to go point to my shoulders as if you can see me. So I'm assuming it'll be fine. I've not seen anything in the pattern notes, so if it is an issue, it's definitely my own for not paying attention to something or reading something wrong. So I'm hopeful that that's just gonna block out. It looks like it'll probably block out, right? So anyway, this is what I've been working on. And I'm on the part now where it's just straight knitting for a good several inches. This is a crop top pattern, but you still have a bunch of knitting down here. And I'm cheating. I'm cheating on my knitting. I'm not a cheater in life, but I'm a cheater on my knitting. So basically this is meant to be done on the, it's like 3.5mm needles, the same as up here. But I switched to 5mm needles to make it go faster, because I figure it's an oversized crop top. Like, gauge shouldn't matter that much once you get past the color work. I could be making a terrible decision. That could be why I'm having issues with things. I don't know. But I'm just gonna keep going, and I'm just gonna keep... I dropped a stitch. I literally just dropped a stitch while I was on camera. Lord. Okay. So... Don't worry, I'll fix that after. So this is what I've been working on as well, and I'm just on this part under the arms and then the short sleeves. Like, I will get it done for sure. I just don't know when I'm gonna get it done, especially because I still have my For Fox's Sake to finish. I've got like 3 or 4 more rounds of color work. With the For Fox's Sake though, I don't have it within arm's length, so I can't show you right now. But with that one, because it's 3 color work in almost every round, like every round takes me like an hour. So that's why, like, you kind of have to be like, I'm here for the duration. Like, I'm gonna sit on the couch and not move for at least an hour, which that kind of time has been very rare lately. So this is what I'm working on. I really like the colors, and I'm excited to see when it's done. I'm excited to see if I've ruined it with weirdness or not. So these are all my yarns as well. There's Coffee in that Nebula, which is the Janeway colorway, and then the silver is called Liquid Metal, and the blue is called Valkyrie. So I really like that, and I'm excited to see when it's finished. I'm sure I can probably block it into submission. I've got a few more inches under the arms. I have a lot more inches under the arms because I've only got like that much. I've got probably, I don't know, that much more-ish to go before I'm going to take the needle sizes gradually back down towards the ribbing and hope that that doesn't do anything weird. It might do something weird. I might end up having to rip all this back. But it will be an interesting lesson that I have learned. So anyway, so that's also what I've been working on. Definitely not going to be finished by Halloween, but I've come to terms with that. I'm at peace. The only time that I've ever finished a sort of holiday, this isn't really like a holiday thing, but sort of a holiday-esque thing in time was last year when I made Carrie Westerman's Vinterskov with the it's got Christmas trees around the yoke, and then someone who I'm friends with on Ravelry and messages me on Instagram sometimes, her name's Darcy, she had a little chart to like add a TARDIS, so I totally added a TARDIS on my Vinterskov. But I did finish that in time, but that's because it was Aran weight, so much bigger needles, you're zipping along at a much quicker pace. And I was also like hell-bent and determined to finish it because it was lime green and I loved it. I'm sure I'll start wearing it as soon as we get a bit closer to Christmas, but let's get through Halloween first, shall we? A week from today. Okay, enough scary stuff in the news, eh? Anyway, so I'm really pleased with it, and I'm excited to see kind of what it looks like when I'm finished. And I even bought like a special shirt to wear under it, because I'm that excited about it. Anyway, so I'll link to that in the comments as well. But yeah, look, this cord is the same. It's that Zing cord from the set that I bought, and it's just, it lays so nicely, and it doesn't like crank up on you or anything. It's rad. It's super rad. Let me make sure this is recording still. I don't actually know. My phone went to sleep. Oh yeah, I think it's still recording. I hope. Okay. Anyway, so that's also what I've been working on. So I'm gonna plonk that back in my little project bag here. You never have too many project bags because I'm always forgetting where I've put things, and it's nice just to be like, in this project bag is yarn, pattern, needles, etc. So I also wanted to say that I'm going to be casting on a I'm gonna leave my hand here because it seems confused when I move it away. I'm gonna be casting on a framework bralette by Jessie May. She's Jessie May with a bunch of S's on Instagram. You might remember that I made her her ripple bralette a couple of months ago and wore it sideways on Instagram, and and then realized I'd been wearing it sideways and had to post being like, oh, this is what it actually looks like, because I'm a fool. Anyway, she assures me that this one is impossible for me to mistakenly put on sideways, which I appreciate. The depths of my awkwardness cannot be underestimated. But I'm going to be making it with, autofocus is going to be the death of me. Anyway, so I'm making it with the relatively newly released reverse Ravicorn, which is in the same style as the reverse Rainicorn, but with UV reactive neon dyes. So you can see kind of the neon that it goes through, and I'm really excited to see how this looks as a framework bralette. So I'm going to cast that on, I don't know, when I get through the other million projects I'm doing. It's probably going to be sooner than that, because let's be real, I have no self-control. And also, look at this yarn. This is probably one of my favorite things I've ever dyed. It's so flippin' bright. I love it. So I'm going to be making a framework bralette with that. And I'm really excited for that. I was also going to show you the socks that I'm going to cast on with some self-striping sock yarn from Giddy Yarns, but I left it on the other side of the room, and I don't want to have to edit out me getting up and going to the other side of the room. So yeah. I posted it, or it's in the Perth sort of Redux podcast. So if you're curious, it's gray with rainbows. And I feel like a sock is something you can always have. Like, that's kind of your go-to throw it in the bag and just go project, I guess, except when you get to like the heel where you have to actually count things. But anyway, so I'm going to be making a framework bralette, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to get that out of the way. And then I wanted to kind of quickly show you some of the upcoming Christmas collection yarns with my pumpkin here on the table. Do you like that? And I know it feels kind of weird to be talking about Christmas when it's still October, but I guess as knitters and crocheters or weavers or whatever yarn craft it is you do, we kind of have to start this stuff early, right? Unless you have lots of dedicated time to knit things specifically in December. I know that I definitely don't. My Decembers are usually filled with planning for the next year, and you know, and chasing up lots of post things, because I mean, post ends up being really slow. Anyway, enough of that. I wanted to show you some of the stuff. So the Christmas yarns that I have this year are based on quotes from It's a Wonderful Life, which I don't really know why I ended up choosing that movie. I think it's because Sarah and I were talking and laughing about how he's always like, Mary, like throughout the film. And I don't know, it's a film that I always watch with my mom. I used to watch it with her every Christmas Eve. My dad worked nights when I was growing up, so it would usually just be my mom and I on Christmas Eve, and we would chill out with some hot cocoa and we'd watch It's a Wonderful Life. So like, as much as I'm kind of like taking the piss out of it a little bit, it also kind of has a place in my heart of, you know, being young and, you know, the excitement for Christmas and stuff. I don't know, I'm getting kind of mushy. Anyway, so there's this yarn, which I've dyed on a few different bases. Let's move this pumpkin. I feel like that level of what's what I'm looking for? I don't know. It just seems oddly disparate. So I dyed this onto a few different bases, kind of like I have in the past with other collections. I know there's a yak around here somewhere, but I will be damned if I can A, find it, and B, reach it. So we're gonna have to just do with, oh, I see it, it's over there. Anyway, I promise you there is one with yak as well. No, the yak is so important. I need to find you the yak. Okay, so I've dyed this color Martinis, which is the name of the bar in It's a Wonderful Life. So I've dyed it onto 4 different bases, like the standard sock, merino sock, sparkle sock, the new chunky singles. I'm really sorry about this autofocusing. It's having a time with the neons, and it's a bit dark in here. And so the chunky singles, and then this yak, which I think looks lush AF. I really like it. So that's called Martinis. What else do I have? I have this one here. So I have this one also on a on Yak and the other one as well, but I'm unable to see where they are. Anyway, so this is Potter Got Away With It. Here it is on camera. Stop. Here it is on Sparkle Sock and then Chunky Merino Singles. So this is because Mr. Potter, like horrible, crabby old capitalist man as he is, like steals all the money from Uncle Billy in the movie. I'm sorry, spoilers for this super old film. Steals the money from Uncle Billy, and like, yeah, like George and Uncle Billy, they figure it out at the end because everybody like gives them their life savings and stuff because he's a good person. But like Mr. Potter like never gets any shade or any trouble for having stolen the money from Uncle Billy in the first place. Horrible old man. Weird message at Christmas if you really want to break it down. Anyway, so this is Potter Got Away With It. It's green because money is green, and also Christmas. And grayish black because dude's got a black heart. Stealing money at Christmas. Come on, man. And I've also got this one, which here it is on Yak and the Chunky Merino. So this one's called Mary, because that's what initially inspired me to, I don't know, make this collection. And it's blue because, I don't know, there was a whole reason why I chose blues, and I can't remember now. I guess because during Christmas pageants, Mary usually wears blue. That's not the reason why I chose that, but I don't know, sure. Yeah, I just think it's funny that in the film it's like, oh, she's a spinster librarian. What a horrible life she lives if you're not here, George. Like, why you gotta have it out for the spinster librarians, Clarence? Come on, man. I just realized that the labels were upside down. Yeah, I'm sure spinster librarians have a fulfilled life. Like, come on, man. Anyway, so there's that, and then there's one more, and then I will show you something that I bought myself. Alright, so this is Pottersville, so you know when George is like, I wish I had never been born, or whatever, and he comes back, and instead of being his town, it's now called Pottersville, and so it's kind of like gray and like neons because there's lots of like neon signs around, and it's meant to show that it's a place of debauchery, or whatever, but it's a fun way to dye yarn. So there's like they're all on the same basis, I just don't have them all sitting next to me because I was ill prepared. So this is regular sock, the Chunky Merino Singles, and Yak sock, which I think looks really nice as well. So those are the Christmas ones. I haven't photographed them yet. It's for all of the sort of people who want to have a creative small business or whatever. This is a tool that I bought myself. Camera, stop. This is something that I bought myself last year in December when Diana of the Crochet Chain, she designs a lot of really cool crochet patterns. She's in my Stitch Image group. She showed me, she had a paper copy and brought it with, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. But I wasn't sure how much I was going to get out of it, so I just bought the digital version and printed off some pages and whatever. But I loved it so much, and I thought it was so amazing for you know, for my business and for planning and everything, that I went ahead and I bought the paper copy this year. So I'm going to show you. Look, I'm going to open it for you on the podcast. So this says Maker's Gonna Make on the sticker. And I love how this is wrapped like a present. So this is called Maker's Yearbook. I think it's also called the Maker's Toolkit. So it says a goal-setting workbook and planner for artists, makers, and handmade business owners. So like I said, I bought the digital version last year, which is a little bit cheaper than the printed one. If you're not sure if you're going to keep up with it, then maybe that's good for you. So I'm just going to kind of show you some of the stuff in here. I waited a whole week to open this just so I could show you on the podcast and me opening it. So I like that it's got a ring binding. So there's all kinds of stuff in here that help you plan for the next year, and it asks really insightful questions about your business and what you want to achieve and like how you're going to achieve it, which is stuff that I kind of already did with my bullet journal. I have a very utilitarian bullet journal. It's not like fancy, beautiful outlays. It's like just me scrawling things on a page, which is something, anyway, so I already did that kind of with my bullet journal, but this kind of really dials it down into much more specifics and really keeps you more focused on those goals rather than just being like, oh, I want to achieve this year, and to do that I'll have to do these 3 things. It breaks it down into more like, what are you doing this week to achieve that? which kind of keeps you more focused. Anyway, so you can see like it's got a bunch of tabs in here that you can use, and like calendary bits and like lots of things for you to fill out. My favorite part when I was filling it out last year was all the stuff in the front, like the sort of big picture questions. What did you achieve this year? What did you do that you think you couldn't? Like these, and I don't know, these are like kind of boring examples I'm giving you, but like it is really insightful. Anyway, so if you have a small business and you're looking for a bit more direction or you think of starting a small business, highly recommended. I'll drop a link for that as well. Again, this is not like a sponsored, promoted thing. It's just something that I found really useful for myself and keeping myself focused on kind of releasing collections and kind of expanding into new things. And it was something that kind of helped me keep focused in a really positive way that kind of rewards you for like it makes you reward yourself for being like, oh, I did this and that's really, like, I'm proud that I did that kind of way, rather than just being, rather than just being like, oh, well, I didn't do this and I didn't do this and I didn't do this. It's a really positive way of keeping track, I think. So I'm glad that I found it. So thanks, Diana, for showing me this last December, because I think I just bought it like right before the new year started. But now I have it all the way in October, because I got this like about a week ago, and I've waited to open it just to show you on the podcast. So I can actually get started with some of that planning now, which is going to make me feel a lot more prepared and stuff when December and then January rolls around, which is going to be faster than we think, and certainly faster than I think, because I've got lots of other stuff on the go. Right, anyway, so that's kind of all I wanted to show you today, which is kind of what I've been working on, both knit-wise and in the dye kitchen, so to speak, and kind of something that I got for myself that I think is going to be really heckin' useful. So with that said, I will wrap it up. Obviously, if you wanted to hear more about what I was talking about on Instagram this week with regards to immigration and that kind of stuff, that's in the other podcast. I felt like they were really odd. It would be odd to have them in the same podcast. Me being like, wow, there's this really upsetting thing that's happened. It's going to really impact people's lives. Also, look at this cool yarn. Like, it just feels weirdly disparate. But I know that a lot of people wanted clarification, so I decided to do a video on that. It's shorter than this one. It's only about 10 minutes. 10 minutes or 12 minutes. So yeah, hopefully next week I will be able to show you something that's a bit more lighthearted. I mean, I guess this was lighthearted, but hopefully next week will be... Hopefully next week we'll have better news. Hopefully next week we can be a bit more lighthearted. Also, a reminder that we want to start doing Pinterest challenges. So if you have found a thing on Pinterest, it doesn't have to be from Pinterest. It's just, something that you think would either be funny for us to try or like legit you think it would be really cool for us to try, drop a link in the comments and we will be we'll be figuring that out real soon. And hopefully next week I'll be able to show you a bit more yarn dyeing. Maybe we'll do a Pinterest challenge if we can get the filming set up for it, but I'm not sure yet. So that's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Do check out the other video if you're interested in hearing what I have to say on that, and have a yarny week.